What's up, y'all? It's Samson here for the very first episode of The Fitting Room. This is exciting because I am here on the ORU campus and we just hit the record button. So we're doing this now. And I'm here with someone who is probably the bravest person I can even imagine, because he filled out the Google form and he was like, yo, let's do this. I'm down to share my story with students at ORU, TCC, TU. And so if you're tuning in and listening, I'm excited to introduce to you, and I'm going to butcher his name because I've been trying in my head, but I want to introduce you to Lethzon.
Oh, you said it right. Yeah,
I said that right?
Yeah.
Solid. There we go. That's what's up. I'm excited to hear that. So my man's filled out the Google form. He's here and we're doing this. And I just want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. And when I say that, more specifically, tell us your name. I want them to hear you say it. You could tell us first name, full name, whatever you want to share, your major, and what year you're in.
Okay. So my name is Lethzon Matos. I'm Puerto Rican, so the Matos, that's where I get it from.
Yes, sir.
Some people, they can't pronounce my name, so they just call me Lex. Just short LEX, easy to pronounce. I'm a freshman here at Oral Roberts. My major is intercultural entrepreneurship.
Intercultural entrepreneurship. That's nice. That's nice. Okay. So we ain't gonna waste no time, man.
No.
I've been waiting to hear a story for for a minute, and I'm like, yo, we're gonna do this now. And so share with us your story. More specifically, how did you get here to ORU? How did you get here in Tulsa? How did you get here all together? Intercultural entrepreneurship. How did you get here? Share with us.
So I go to a church back at home, Apostolic Pentecostal Church, and my pastor, his name is Randolph Furlow, he came here when Oral Roberts was around. And I was looking for, colleges to go to after I graduated high school. I got accepted to a private university back at home, the University of New Haven, and they gave me full tuition, like full ride, but I had to commute. And then I came over here. I looked at ORU, looked at, the university, what they had to offer. And I didn't want to come here. I really didn't. Because back at home at the moment, I was, to be honest, like full vulnerability. I had a girl back at home and I was like kind of holding on to that. And I was like, I don't want to leave because of that. But then God he had other plans. He was just like, nah, I'm going to make you come over here. And then, I prayed about it. And I was like, God, what do you want me to do? And he was like, I already told you. And I came over here to Oral Roberts. I came here in the summer, actually, a couple of weeks before all the other freshmen came. So I was like ahead of everybody else. And I did business management because, I'm just a businessman. I love business.
Okay. And this is just for clarification. So it didn't start off with intercultural entrepreneurship.
No,
it started off with
business management.
With business management. Okay. So start off with business management. I just want to say, just within the last couple seconds of what you shared, there's a lot in there, because I feel like there's a lot that college students can just resonate with, right? Like, I mean, just whether it's I didn't want to come here and I end up here, right? I hear that quite often from a lot of people. I ended up here still. I didn't want to go here and still ended up here. And even more say,
right,
with a girl back home, it's like relational situations bring some tension. So continue. So keep going.
So my first major was business management, and I pursued that for a little bit, and I found myself not being interested in the classes I was taking.
So now we've transitioned. So you've decided to come to ORU. You're here.
Yeah.
And you're doing business management. So I'm just out of curiosity, because I'm sure some people might be curious. Like, so with the relationship, long distance is what it ended up?
We tried it out for a short amount of time, but it just didn't work out. And reason being was just because, like, when you have like discernment and you listen to God and what He wants you to do, it
Mm,
was in that season where God was just like, I don't want nothing else for you, but just for you to focus on me in school.
yeah.
So it was that season. I was like in that season of molding, and I'm still in that season of where
Mhm.
God's like reshaping you, molding you, trying to prepare you and develop you. And I guess that God just wanted to separate me from everything that I had back at home and isolate me to a place where He can just move me away from distractions and just build me.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real. Okay, so there was that realization that God was kind of leading and
Yeah.
guiding you, and you came to realize, okay, who are you? So was there anything significant or extremely obvious that you're like, okay, God said, "Oh, are you?" Like this is it.
Um, yes, because all it's like, so I actually called Oreo after I gave them my enrollment fee. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, yo, like, can you give me a refund? Cause I don't want to go to your school no more. But then it's like, I think it was like the last day to like cancel your enrollment fee.
Oh,
And then like, I remember like it was a deadline for you to call and return it. And I think it was like 2 weeks passed and I kept calling them. I was like, can I get the money? Can I get the money? And they're like, yeah, we're going to do it. And they never did it. And then I called them one more time. And I remember like I was like praying and I was just like, God, like I don't want to go to ORU. But then God was just like, He was just like, um, I want you to follow my will for your life. And you know, there's a phrase that goes about like He knows the plans that He has for you.
yeah.
And even though you might not know, it's like you're walking into the unknown. It's dark and you're just afraid. Like every plan that God has for you is like it's great. Like it's gonna fulfill His purpose for your life. And then, you know, once God told me that, I was like, you know what? I'm just go.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna resist it. I'm not gonna fight it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna, because then if you do, it's just gonna be like cycles, and then you're gonna go down a path that He never intended for you. So I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I'm just listen.
No, that's real. That's real. So it sounds like God was really kind of speaking through a lot of the
Yeah,
difficulties of maybe the
definitely.
financial office
Yeah,
and all these other all these other impressions, and
yeah.
it became clear that ORU was the space. So you came business management, continue like
So I came and I began studying business management, and I found out that most of the classes that I was taking didn't interest me. I started to become bored. And when I become bored of something, I just don't like doing it anymore. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to learn just about business.
mm-hmm,
I'm at Oral Roberts, a Christian university, and you know, you learn about business and they add Christian principles in your learning. But I was like, you know what? If I'm going to learn about business, I want to also learn about God as well.
mm-hmm,
So that's why I switched to intercultural entrepreneurship, because it's like it's a major where you're not a complete theology major and then you're not a complete business major. It's like you're both in
oh,
one. So you're studying business and theology at the same time without actually being one foot completely in.
okay. So it's one major is not the same as a double major.
Right. It's not the same as a double major. It's
Okay,
the same thing. It's
that's
just
cool.
one major.
So it sounds like it gives you a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so is there, and I'm not trying to jump too far into like
Uh-huh.
the future because we're gonna get to that in a
Right. Right.
second, but is there anything else that kind of brought you to this place as to where you are today? Like maybe because you mentioned Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Puerto Rico, solid, solid. So like, how was the transition? Or did you grow up in Puerto Rico, or did you?
So I was born in Puerto Rico. I left Puerto Rico, I want to say around the age of 4 or 5, lived in
Okay,
Florida for a couple of years, moved around a lot between the states. And then finally I ended up like settling in with my family in New York City.
okay. And so did you always grow up in a Christian household
Not,
and
no, not at all, actually. I'm actually the only Christian in my family.
the only Christian in
Yeah.
your family?
Yeah.
So what background is your family? Just
My family is, my mom, she is somewhat Catholic, She's not
Mhm.
like completely religious. She's not like, all in, but that's what she believes in. She believes in Christianity as well. But like the rest of my family, they don't believe in like a God. So
Mm. So, if you're comfortable
yeah,
with it, would you be willing to share maybe a little bit about how that feels? Like
yeah,
being, because I sense that a lot of times when you have college students
mm,
attending college, going down a major, there could be that feeling of maybe isolation
yeah,
or feeling like doing something different than what your family wanted. Maybe your family wanted you to go to a certain university, you didn't
yeah,
go. Maybe your family wanted you to do a certain thing and you didn't do it.
hmm,
And so there's that feeling of isolation. Would you be willing to talk a little bit
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah,
how that experience, like maybe your conversion experience, how your family handled that,
yeah.
maybe something like that?
So I've been a Christian since 2021 of May, and I was in a toxic relationship with a particular person, and for 3 years, freshman high school to like third year,
Yeah.
and God was dealing with me throughout those moments in those relationships. He was pulling on me. It got to the point where I had to leave the individual because I was just like, listen, if you're not gonna do this with me, then I can't be in a relationship with you.
Oh, wow. So if I'm understanding you, it sounds like you're saying that you were in this relationship and God started to move and convict you towards him,
Yeah,
and that person didn't sound like that they were vibing.
right. So me and that person actually were seeking God together while we were in the relationship, but I
Mm,
started taking it more serious, and it became very toxic. And we were reading our Bible, praying, we would do certain things together, but then you know, we would just like do things that weren't right.
yeah,
And then it got to the point where I was just like, you know what, I can't be in this position anymore. It's either I'm all in or I'm just all out. And I said, you know what, God, I'm gonna do this for you. And then, I just left the relationship and I started pursuing God.
dude, that's amazing. And I say that because anytime you're making a decision and you don't sense that your partner is on the same page
Hmm.
and you want to commit to that and that person isn't in favor or supportive,
Right.
it can definitely be so hard to make that leap.
Right.
And
Right.
I feel like sometimes people stay in certain positions. I mean, I've heard situations where people don't go to college because they feel like their partner is like, yo, I want you to stay home. I want you to stay here. Maybe
Yeah.
like your friend, right? Like maybe the person you were talking to before, where it was like, feel God calling you to ORU
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
trying to figure out that whole thing. It's like sometimes
Yeah.
they're like, hey, if you leave, then it's done. It's hard
Yeah.
to make those decisions. And so
Right.
you're not only brave for filling out the form, bro, you're brave for, making that decision as
Yeah.
well. And so what happened maybe after that? Was there anything that like
Um,
maybe with family and how did your family see?
so my mom used to go to a Spanish church and I would go with her, but there was like, I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't care. I would just go just to go make her happy. And, after I left that relationship of 3 years, freshman year of high school and etc., I prayed and I said, God, I'm not going to look for a church. If you want me to go to church, bring me one. And he did. Like he answered that prayer in less than in less than 3 months. He answered that prayer, and through an individual,
I I just want to say something real quick. I just want to say something real quick, dude. I love the fact that you just said that. It's like I'm not gonna go looking for a church to bring me one,
yeah,
because the point of it, the point of a church is it's supposed to be mobile,
yeah,
right? Like it's supposed to go,
yeah.
right? Like, and so I just think that prayer is so just it's so ironic because it's like
I
people go
think
looking for a church, but the church is supposed to go looking
exact.
for
I
them.
think like I just didn't want to find the wrong church or find the wrong place because I think like I went to church with my mom, but I didn't feel God. I never encountered His Spirit, never encountered His presence. I
Mm,
didn't even know that was a thing. But through a friend that I met online, and those apps like Monkey and like those apps where you talk to people all around the world. So it was like those apps like Omegle and all of that. And I met this individual through that app
Mhm.
and they lived in the same town, same city as me. And I was talking to people from like France, Russia, but this person was like right down the street. And I was like, that's not a coincidence. But then we talked, we switched social Snapchats. I had Snapchat at the time, and we talked on there. And little by little, we got to know each other. And they invited me to their church, which was like,
Mm.
not so far away. I went there. And for the first time, that was like the first time I've ever encountered like God's spirit, God's fire, his presence. And it gripped me. Like I was just like, this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
So I think after that, that's when I started really surrendering like my life and living like my Christian walk
Yeah.
and walking it out. Not just saying, oh, I'm Christian. I was actually, living it out.
Yeah.
And the way my mom took it, like at the time, she was just like, oh, wow. So now you want to be Christian. But when I brought you to church, you didn't want to be a Christian. And at
Mm.
the time, my mom was like, she went from being a mother that was in the church and was saved to somebody that wasn't. So when
Mm.
she saw me like that, she was just like, wow. So now you want to be saved. But when I brought you to church, you didn't want to be saved.
Mm.
But then I was just like, it like, the way I understood it, I was just like, but I never felt anything when I
Yeah.
went to church with you. Not necessarily that God wasn't there. Maybe he wasn't. But if God wanted me to feel something, I would have felt something.
Yeah. That's
So,
interesting. It is hard because, sometimes um sometimes we can feel intimidated
yeah,
or even afraid or um nervous of other people's light,
yeah,
and it's just in a lot of cases, like
yeah.
when you especially when you feel like you've allowed yours to go dim
Mm-hmm.
and you see someone else's spark up, it
Yeah,
can it can feel it can bring on some level of shame
yeah,
sometimes, and it
yeah,
sounds like maybe some of that was
yeah.
happening.
I think like from being an only Christian in a family, um, I've dealt with a lot of persecution, criticism,
Mm.
judgment. Oh, you don't love us. You just love God. Oh, you're not really a part of the family.
Yeah.
Like you get criticized and, hurtful things happen, like hurtful words. People like they push you away. They think that you don't love them, or
Yeah.
they think that like you don't want to be a part of the family, but in reality it's like, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like you pray for them, you love them. And it's like I think it's all about the mindset that we have, because as Christians we understand that we trust God. We know
Mhm.
that he's faithful, right? And I've been in multiple situations where we've almost got evicted. We needed food, we needed money, and I would pray in my room. And like one time, like we almost got evicted. It was like the day we were going to sleep, and then we were supposed to wake up and leave. And I prayed and I said, God, make something happen. We woke up, somebody brought the property, and we had a new lease, and we stayed there for another year.
Wow.
And I said, Mom, I told you. And her mentality, she's just like, oh, it just happened. But I'm just like, God did it.
Mhm.
So I think like the way I see it, it's like, yeah, you deal with criticism. Yeah, you deal with judgment and persecution and all of that. But at the end of the day, you're holding an umbrella over your family,
Yeah.
and you're praying. You're just like, God, have mercy, for they know not what they do.
Yeah. It's interesting because it almost sounds like in your house there's I mean, from what you're sharing, it sounds like there might be like some feelings of like rejection
Yeah.
from your family,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, um, it sounds like even though there is rejection, you still have a heart for protection,
Yeah.
for like, yo, God,
Yeah.
I love him. Like,
Right.
it's not like the rejection is causing you to feel bitter.
I think the way I understand it is like God said that he said that he dealt with it first,
Mm.
and that we would deal with it also. So I think that when it comes to things like judgment and criticism, you take it And I think the way from everything that I've been through in my life, I've been through so much that, you know, I could choose to be in the street selling drugs. I can choose to be suicidal or depressed because I have every right to be, like, the amount of things I've been through. I can choose to kill myself. I could have chosen to, go have kids, go be in the world. And, there's people around me that I know that did that. But, like, I think in my mind, I took those things that were supposed to destroy me and I used them to, like, lift me up.
Mm.
And so I think I used that as a way to, like, push me forward, thrust me. So when they hit me with, "Oh, you're just a Christian. You don't love us." Like, when my family does that, I think it pushes me away, but then it makes me want to pray for them more
Yeah.
because I understand that it's not them, but it's a spirit within them.
Mm. Man, and as I'm hearing, and you said you became Christian
Hmm.
as of 2021,
Yeah.
is that correct?
Yeah.
And so it's like, man, so much has happened over the last
Yeah.
couple years, and it sounds like now I see the transition to coming to ORU,
Yeah.
and you're paying attention to God and is
Hmm.
leading. Like you've been on this for a hot minute,
Yeah.
and so fast forwarding to like right now,
Hmm.
like what's happening in your life right now. So you just switched over from
Hmm.
business to intercultural
Entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurship. Solid. And so um share with us some things that's happening right now, maybe some things that are that you're thinking about, some challenges,
Yeah.
some opportunities, some blessings,
Yeah.
whatever you would know.
So as of right now in my life, I am, the major that I'm pursuing is somewhat easy as of right now. I just have, like, I do a lot of writing, research papers, not a lot of mathematics. Besides that, I think that what I'm dealing with now, like a battle, is distractions.
Mm,
So now that I'm pursuing God and I'm giving him my all, left and right, I look left and right, and all I see is distractions that are trying to lead me away from the path that that he's placing me on.
yeah.
Um, I believe that another thing that I've been dealing with is trusting and having faith. Because when you come, like, I come from a very poor family.
Mm-hmm.
When I said I lived in New York for 10 years, and for those majority of those 10 years, we lived in shelters in New York, in homeless
Oh,
shelters. So we went from shelter to shelter to shelter, different boroughs, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx. We lived from shelters. It wasn't till my 8th grade year that my mom bought an apartment in Brooklyn and Canarsie. And then we moved to a house in Connecticut.
wow.
And so now when you come, when you come from a background like mine, you come over here all alone. I don't have no family out here. No, like, I came over here with no friends, no family. And, all my contacts, all the people that I rely on are back at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn how to rely on myself, not only on myself, but how to rely on God for every single one of my needs. And when I mean like every single one, I mean like everything, like food, money, like, school supplies, like everything. Like, I've had to pray about, oh God, like, I don't have enough toothpaste for next week, or I don't have enough soap, I don't have enough food, or I don't have enough money for, like, simple things.
Yeah.
And then I would pray, and then things would happen, like it would just happen out of nowhere. And sometimes they don't, and that's okay.
Mm.
But I think that that's where God has me right now. He's having me in a season where he's teaching me how to just rely on him and nobody else.
Man, dude, that's amazing, man. Um,
I think
especially
the Bible says, what, seek thy kingdom first,
mhm,
and then thy things shall be added unto you. So I think that um that's what literally he's asking me right now. Like, he's asking me to just seek him
Mhm.
And then he's like, don't worry about the food. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, don't worry about the food or the clothes that you're going to wear on your back tomorrow. Don't
Yeah.
worry about anything. Just worry about me. And then I will provide all your needs.
Yeah. You know, it sounds like growing up in a poor environment,
Hmm.
when you don't have a lot, it can be easy to focus on him because it's like, man, you don't have,
Right.
you know, he's everything.
Right.
We need him in order
Right.
for something to happen and take place. And so I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm just resonating with it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying with it, man. I don't know if there's maybe more um either challenges or maybe
Hmm.
some other, because I think distractions is really, maybe I don't know if you want to dive into the
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
distractions that you find that you're facing
Uh-huh.
right now. I know from what you've said, maybe one or two of them might be the distraction of trying to pursue other things other than
Yeah.
God. But is there any other
Um,
distractions?
I think another distraction may be wanting the need to like find your people.
Mm,
Like, I think so many people want to find friends, including myself. I want to find the people that are for me, people that
mm,
are like me, that understand me. And I think that I put myself out there a lot, and I'm like trying to meet new people, see how they are, see how they think. And I think God, it's just like you're wasting time
mm,
because I think like, when I think about it, it's like God's going to give you everything at the right time. As long as you follow his will and follow his plan, everything will fall into place. You don't even have to look for it.
mm,
Like God will just give it to you. It'll just show up. So I think as of right now, that's another distraction. Like I'm just looking around for friends, for people that are just like me. Or, I'm looking also at like, okay, God, like I want to do this. I want to do that. Like I want to start this business. I want to start that business. I want to do this idea. And
yeah.
God's just like, it's not time yet.
Mm,
Because he's like, because you know how God says like the Bible says God is a jealous God.
yeah.
And that doesn't just apply to just, him getting jealous of people when you're idolizing and worshiping other gods. That applies to like when you're idolizing your boyfriend or girlfriend more than, you know, if you're spending time with them more than you are with God.
Mm,
Or if you're spending time with trying to bring your business idea into manifestation more than you're praying or spending time with God. Like
yeah.
God is a jealous God. He wants your full attention. And until he gets that, it's like you're not going to get anything else.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, I resonate a lot with what you're saying. You know, it's, you know, part of the Christian faith, a big portion of it from what I've understood just from my own personal journey is like community
Mhm.
is very important.
Yeah.
And there's also a difference between trying really hard to work to fit in
Yeah.
and having the confidence of what God says about you and knowing
Yeah.
you belong. Right? I think there's a difference between
Hmm.
those two. And so I definitely resonate with that as you're, you know, we got to be careful
Yeah.
not to, and I think the key word that comes to my mind
Hmm.
is obsession, right?
Right.
Like when we obsess over something,
Yeah.
because then we at times could try to look to have that thing fulfill
Yeah.
what it actually can't really fulfill,
Exactly.
rather than being filled and then enjoying the fruit of
Hmm.
said thing.
Right.
And so no, that's real. I resonate with that.
I think that like, when it comes to fitting in, I think there's a lot of people that try to fit in
Mm,
to gain like some type of influence, friendships, money, whatever it may be. And even, ever since even in elementary, middle school, I never fitted in. I never had friends. Reason being was because by the time I was already in 5th or 6th grade, I was so mature because I've experienced so much, trauma, and I've been through so much that I had to grow up so quickly.
Mm.
But so I was literally in middle school, like, yo, grow up. But I'm like the same age as you.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at them and I'm just like, yo, like, do y'all not know how the real world is?
Yeah.
Like what's wrong with y'all? But
Yeah.
like I had to learn that not everybody experienced what I did.
That's
So I had
true.
to learn how to like understand other people and how to express myself to other people in a way that's not like and not an offending way.
Yeah.
So I think like something that I had to learn was just like I was never supposed to fit in. If anything, I was meant to stand out,
Mm.
because I think that when God allows certain things to happen in your life, and God doesn't allow things to happen in your life. Like there can be bad things that happen, but that doesn't mean God allowed it to happen.
Mm.
He never intended it to happen. But sometimes bad things happen, and the Bible says that whatever Satan tried to do, use for evil, God will turn it around and use it for His good.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like God does with a lot of people. Like He brings you through experiences. He allows certain things to happen, and we get hurt and scarred by them. But then
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, we can use that to stand out,
Yeah.
and we can use that to like speak to other people and help them navigate.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. One thing that you were mentioning, and I guess I was curious about, and it's more say a question, just wondering what your thoughts are on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you look at growing up, and you mentioned you matured quick, um, it almost seems like you were robbed of experiencing
Yeah.
a level of a childhood.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I want to say that I did somewhat experience a childhood,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't. I feel like I was robbed by it. Like it was so premature.
Mm.
So I was like, it went from me being a child to me being cold hearted, and me losing, like, it was as if almost it was ripped away from me.
Yeah.
So, it was, for a certain point in time, it was hard for me to laugh. It was hard for me to cry. I was emotionless. I was numb because of like, it got to a point in my life where I was just like, I don't want to feel pain anymore.
Yeah.
And, I didn't want to turn to smoking or drinking or being gang affiliated. I had friends that did that. I was surrounded by people that did that.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol, drugs, all of that. And I could have said, you know what, I'm done, and did all of that, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to be consumed by it. I didn't
Yeah.
want my trauma and my hurt to consume me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna just be numb. And I didn't, I couldn't cry. I couldn't feel, like, I couldn't feel hurt. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody died close to me, or something happened bad, traumatizing, I wouldn't feel it.
Mm.
And I had to learn how to break that wall down, because it diminished the ability to love properly and to care for others the way that I needed to.
Yeah.
So over time, I had to learn how to use my trauma and experiences and then heal, like, through all of that.
Yeah. And so you said I'm intrigued because I feel like a lot of people just hold on to that, and they
Yeah.
just keep it,
Yeah.
throughout life. And it begins to affect their
Mm-hmm.
relationships, their friendships,
Yeah.
their career, or whatever they do for work. And so I'm curious, how did you what did that process look like of breaking that down?
Um, I I want to say that, even till this day, there's countless nights where sometimes I cry myself to sleep
Mm.
just because of the burden that I know that I'm carrying because of everything that I have to go through and everything that I have been through already. And it's a healing process, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It can take months, weeks, years. Um, and for me, I want to say that it really was just God. Like, it was God doing that spiritual surgery in my heart and my soul that I needed. Because yes, you can go to counseling and you can go to therapy, but like God is the only one that can like fix your soul. And there's
Mm,
certain things in our life that happen that destroys our soul and it hurts us so bad, and only God can fix it.
yeah.
So I think that when you encounter the love of God and you're surrounded by people that have the genuine love of God inside of them and they just pour it out on you,
Mhm.
it's like it almost accelerates the healing process because you're just surrounded by it.
Yeah.
And there's like you get that peace that surpasses all understanding.
Mhm.
And it's like God just gives you a new heart, basically.
No, that's real. That's real. Nah, man. I appreciate you for sharing that. You don't have to, and you did, and I think it speaks a lot of volume to, again, just who you are
Yeah.
and your story. And I'm sure there's people listening who are um maybe being encouraged or feeling like they're not alone
Hmm.
in their own experiences. Where do you see yourself going? I mean, you're intercultural
Uh-huh.
entrepreneurship here, or you, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going? Where do you see yourself landing at? You can go as far into the future as you like,
Um,
but I mean, or as near, or maybe you're not too
yeah.
sure. But either way, where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself going?
So I have, with this degree that I'm pursuing, I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't know where I'm going. But what I do know is that I have so many blueprints that God
Mm,
has given me and visions that He has given me that He wants me to bring into manifestation. Like He wants me to pursue them. And like I said earlier, like, there's those could be distractions because you're just so focused on it. You're just like, wow, like God told me to do this, but it's not the right time. So, um, as of right now, I just like I know what God has for me. I know what He's called me to do. And um like I really just want to be exactly where God wants me to be
yeah,
because that's the place where I'll prosper the most. I don't want to be too
100%.
far gone. I don't want to be, just a little bit on the left or the right. I want to be exactly where He wants me to be. And, I think that when I switched my degree, my major, it was kind of challenging because I was just like, God, this won't be something that will give me six figures when I graduate.
Mm,
This is not me being a doctor. This isn't me being a computer engineer. This is below like, $50,000 a year.
yeah,
Like, when you study theology, maybe the business side is good, but that's not something that's gonna guarantee anything.
yeah,
But um at the end of the day, I have to fall back and realize that it's not my life, it's not my plans, it's whatever God has for me. So as long as I follow Him, everything else will succeed and everything else will come into, alignment.
yeah. No, 100%. And when I hear your story and kind of how it's been going,
Yeah,
it's kind of been this, sometimes you go somewhere you don't necessarily want to go, but God ends up working it out for you
yeah,
in the end. And so it sounds like you've trusted God with past situations and He's come through, and now you're
yeah,
trusting Him again for
yeah,
with the next step in life.
definitely.
No, that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, is there anything else that you want to share, man? I mean, we're kind of coming to the end of the very first, the very first podcast. Is there anything else that you want to share before we close up?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like um just want to motivate, whoever, how many people I don't know, whoever's listening to this, and And there's a lot of, people in college that are struggling financially, struggling with not knowing where God wants them to go, and they feel like just giving up. And I think that the worst case scenario is to give up.
Mm.
But I think that when you've come into full maturity and realize that God is faithful and he'll never fail you, that you start to realize that giving up isn't even an option.
Mm.
Like, it's not an option. And you have to stay strong because, God said it was never going to be easy. You're going to go through struggles and you're going to go through walls and you're going to fall down 7 times over and over again. You're going to hit dead ends and you're going to fail over and over again before you even see one success.
Yeah.
So I think that people just need to seek God, seek his face, get on their face and pray and just fill themselves up with faith and trust God. And he will provide, because God is not a God that he shall lie, nor the son of man that he shall repent, right?
Come on.
So he has to literally stay true to his word and provide for all of your needs. As long as you seek thy kingdom first, then he will provide all your needs. That's the key right there.
That's the key. and that's beautiful. No, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you sharing your story. I appreciate you being the first one to share your story. And if you're listening to this and maybe you feel inspired to share your story, if you're listening to it on uh on the good old Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can go to the bio page, the forms there. You can click it and fill it out. If you would like to sign up, you can also go to my social media page. I have a link in my bio. You can sign up via there. Wherever you want to sign up, sign up. We'd love to hear your story. Next up, and I'm gonna try to say your name again. It's been a hot minute, but I'm gonna try one more time. Lethzon?
Lethzon.
Lethzon. Solid. Lethzon, thank you for joining us, bro. I appreciate you
No
for
problem,
blessing
man.
us with your story. And if you're listening, I hope that you can see how you also fit in the fitting room. Peace.
God bless.